podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the premier networks all over the country, 200 stations strong, on Saturday, February 8th, 2020. This is episode 1667. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast comes to you from Twit's LastPass studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Zapier. Zapier connects all your business software and handles the work for you so you can focus on what matters most. Right now through the end of the month, go to zapier.com/techguy for your free 14-day trial. And by Epson's EcoTank printers. Now you can kiss expensive cartridges goodbye. The Epson EcoTank printer comes with a ridiculous amount of ink. Just fill and chill. Check out EcoTank printers at epson.com/EcoTankLeo. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Oh, it's time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that rigmarole, the stuff that is changing our lives all around us in ways we didn't even predict. I love it that what do you think the big story of the week is? The big story of the week. It's such a big tech story that I saw it on the local news up here in San Francisco, on the Channel 7 News. It was like one of their top stories. Netflix now allows you to turn off autoplay. Hallelujah. The heavens opened. The angels sing. People are dancing in the streets. Joy reigns. It is unbelievable. It's a big story of the week. Netflix finally, after all these long, miserable years, you know what I'm talking about. There's two kinds of autoplay in Netflix. One, you just watch the end of a show, an episode in a series. I don't know about you, but I like to look at the credits, see where it was made, see what the songs are, who the star, who is that person? I know their name, that kind of thing. But oh no. They start the countdown. Your next episode begins in 6, 5, 4. Wait a minute, where's the remote? 3, 2, it starts. That's one kind of autoplay. That's the one where it goes to the next episode. It's for binge watching, right? So you just, and you know, Netflix is doing it purely, not for you. It's not for your convenience. It's because they want you to keep watching. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. Just watch forever. But there's another kind of autoplay that I find even more annoying. That one I can live with. I don't mind that because there is a remote control. You know, you can hit that and it'll go back to, you know, the credits. You know, they squeeze them down. It's like, you don't need it. You don't need to know this. You don't need to know who's in this, who made it, who directed it, who wrote it. You don't want to know that. Let's just watch the next one. But the other thing that really is annoying is it, and you have this experience with Netflix where you're trying to find something to watch, and as soon as you land on anything, it starts something from it starts playing. It's not, sometimes it's a trailer, sometimes it's just a clip, but it's just something. It's annoying, it's loud, it's noisy, it's playing in the background. And do you do this when you're surfing through Netflix? You're trying to surf fast enough so it doesn't get a chance to load that. I can't sit on this too long. I don't want to see that. Do you do that? I do, because I don't. And there's for years there's been no way to turn it off. There finally is. So I'm going to give you the magic secret. Normally, you know, if I were good at this, if I was good at this as Netflix is at self-promotion, I'd say, stay tuned. I'll tell you how later in the show. But I'm not going to do that to you. I'll tell you how right now. You got to do it in the web browser, which is, you know, how many times have you, some people, I guess, if you watch Netflix, you know, on your computer or you travel or whatever, you might do it in your browser. But I use the Netflix apps on my TV and on pretty much everything. This won't work in a Netflix app. You have to go to the web browser. You have to go to Manage Profiles, select the profile you'd like to update, and you'll see two options. for autoplay. Oh, those weren't there before. No, they weren't. Why did it take Netflix so long? What? I mean, I get it. That, they don't want to tell you how to do it because they want you to binge watch. They want you to see the promos. They think this is good. But I think it's user hostile. And I think lately the computer industry, the technology, it's no longer a computer industry. The computer industry is this big. Lately, the technology industry has become more and more user hostile. More and more like we're going to do what's good for us, and the heck with you. For instance, we're not going to let you swap out batteries, in your smartphone. No. What's that? That's crazy talk. You have to buy a new phone every 2 years, right? Or pay $90 to get a new battery. We're not going to, you don't need a headphone jack. What do you need come on, a headphone? Why would you need that? Well, because I want to listen. Oh, no, you can buy our $200 wireless headphones. That'll be better for you. You'll be happier. I think there's a rumor now that Apple's going to eliminate, this can't be true. All connections. They're not even going to have a lightning port anymore. Just, just wireless. This is the industry in a nutshell. User hostile. They do what's good for them, not what's good for you. Why? Because you have no choice. We'll put up with anything. Because where are you going to go? What else are you going to do? So go into Netflix. Thank you, Netflix. I don't know what prompted you to do the right thing, but thank you. I thank you. I appreciate it. You've been very, very kind. Oh, isn't it sad that we have to say, oh, thank you, Netflix. You're so good. You're so kind. You're so wise. Thank you for giving us a checkbox. You can, I think you can also go into a profile and edit it there. I think when you go to the account. And I seem to think that there is a site-wide setting where just, I don't want any of that. No, maybe not. No, yep, it's by profile. Because your wife might want to have those autoplay things going on all the time. So you have to do it in the web page. You have to do it with managed profiles. There you go. That's it. That's the big story of the week. I like it that the big story of the week is something so inconsequential. There is a story, and I'm going to ask Sam Abu-Samad, who's coming up in about 20 minutes, about this story, which is a little concerning. And it may be more complicated than the news reports. But according to the news reports, a used car dealer that specializes in Teslas, the electric vehicle, bought a used Tesla Model S from auction at Tesla, bought it directly from Tesla. And at the time, it had all the self-driving features turned on. But after the used car dealer sold it on to a customer, Alex B., who shall remain nameless, sort of, Alex B. bought it. It said on the invoice from Tesla. It said on the invoice from the used car dealer, autopilot, self-driving features, all of that, $8,000 worth of features, software features. He got an update and turned them off. Tesla says, well, you didn't pay for it, so you don't get it. And, who cares? This is one little story. Maybe it doesn't reflect well on Tesla, but really what is more interesting is I think increasingly our life is going to be surrounded by things that are hardware and software. Sonos, those Sonos speakers, we've been talking about that and how Sonos just sent out a note to everybody saying, hey, by the way, come July, no more updates, and they won't even, your new stuff won't work with your old stuff, and you really should just get rid of it. And oh, by the way, if you want to, we'll give you a 30% discount on new stuff, but you have to brick your old speakers. Hardware and software. See, software giveth, but software can also taketh away. Hardware is hardware. A speaker is a speaker. A car is a car, right? Your old, 1992 Toyota runs exactly the same. There's no software. There's no update that the Toyota folks can push out that says, well, you only get 3 wheels because you didn't pay for 4. No, but that doesn't happen. But now it's starting to happen, and it's something for us to be very aware of. And maybe we ought to, as consumers, maybe shouldn't sit back and take it. More and more, this stuff is hardware plus software. And that means more and more there's the possibility for the companies that sell us stuff to disable features. I'll ask Sam about this. He might know more. He's the car guy. He's coming up in just a bit. Johnny Jett, our travel guru, will be here as well. Dick DeBartolo, our Gizmo guy. And, of course, most important, your calls. Lots of them coming up in just a bit. So give us a ring. Did I mention? I didn't even mention the number. 8888 Ask Leo. Now you need it. So that's there. This is we call just-in-time phone numbers. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. 8888 Ask Leo. Everything we talk about, including those two stories, I'll put the information up on our website. That's free, by the way. There's no sign up. It's techguylabs.com. Tech Guy. That's me. I'm your tech guy. Tech guy, and I work in the lab, right, with my lab coat, my beakers, and my eye protection. Very important. techguylabs.com. No sign up, free. Everything you hear on the show will be echoed there, thanks to James DeRuvo, who's rating it right now. It'll all be there, and we also put audio and video from the shows there after the fact, so you don't have to worry about it. techguylabs.com. It's time for the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Hello, Schaffer.
How you doing?
Unbreakable. How were you on Monday? Were you unbreakable on Monday? Do you remember what happened on Sunday? Have you put it out of your mind?
I wish I could say I was in a drunken haze, but I wasn't. I was paying attention to every single moment. And yes, Monday was depressing. Monday was rough. This whole week has been rough, but
it was sad
we'll
in the Laporte household.
I was really I had cleared my schedule for the week. I was going to make sure that I was at that parade, whatever day it happened to pop up.
Yeah, instead they had the parade in the great state of Kansas, and it's really too bad. Not for us.
Missouri's still waiting for their parade.
Yeah, someday they'll have one in Missouri. No, they congratulations to the Chief and Patrick Mahomes. Very, very talented.
24.
Very talented young man. Went to Disneyland.
Disney World.
I mean.
Yeah, because he was already in Florida.
Yeah, he was practically there. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, whatever. We'll try again next year.
That's a good way to think of it. There's always next year.
Yeah.
Yep. So Kim has been, besides being in mourning, I noticed you're dressed in black, has been answering, although most widows don't wear off-the-shoulder black, but that's okay. I like it. It's
I'm not a widow yet. You're
not a widow
first.
Yeah, you're but you're bereft.
I am.
Our 49ers lost the Super Bowl, in case people are wondering what the heck we're talking about. Did you have a favorite ad?
Yes. The Jason Momoa one.
Where he takes off his muscles? That was creepy.
That and the Sam and Little Nas X.
Yeah, that was good. I love that with Sam Elliott and Little Nas X at a shootout at the OK Corral, but they're doing dance moves instead. The Jason Momoa ad there is on YouTube. Had the making of, because they did it with a skinny actor.
Yes,
of course.
A very skinny actor.
And of course green screen. And it's pretty cool because Momoa, who is rather buff, he's Aquaman.
Yeah.
Takes off his lifts and gets short. Takes off his arms and gets no muscles.
Takes off his legs.
Takes off his chest. And then finally takes off his wig. He turns out to be a skinny, bald, short guy.
And the best part is at the end when his wife lifts the...
Yeah, he can't lift the empty bar on the barbell.
And she does it with one hand.
And the chest press. She says, "Good boy, good job." It was the making of is worth seeing because it's interesting the technology used. I just found it so creepy I couldn't even. And just as a test, by any stretch of the imagination, do you remember who the advertiser was?
Yes.
You do?
It was Rocket Mortgage.
Oh.
And I remember that because they have been an advertiser.
Yeah, well, we love them. Yeah, they advertise on our shows. But by the way, we cost a lot less than Jason Momoa's
I'm sure.
catering bill. But I feel like sometimes those ads are so clever you don't, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, I think the first time I saw it, I did not know what it was for.
Right.
And then
because you're so busy looking at what the spectacle of the ad.
Yeah, after we went back to it and looked at it on YouTube, and then I was like,
what was the Little Nas X Sam Elliott ad for?
John was saying Cool Ranch Doritos, maybe?
I don't know.
I think that might have.
It was a Doritos.
Yeah, Cool Ranch Doritos. Okay, yeah.
And then my favorite was the Smat Pack.
Oh, Smart Pack. Yeah,
I love Smat Pack. All the Boston accents and even Big Pappy's in it. But I like that. But they were smart because this whole idea of the ad, Smat Pack, was the product, the name of the product, Smart Pack, that came with a Hyundai Sonata.
Yeah.
So that kind of was cute. And it made the Korean company feel like one of ours.
And you don't have to buy a Tesla to make it park and unpark itself.
Smart Pack. Yeah. By the way, I'm so sorry. I lost track of the day. And Sam will talk about the Tesla thing tomorrow. Scott Wilkinson's coming up
Saturday.
to talk about home theater. Who should I start the show with today?
Olga has a great recommendation for a product, and
that's all I need. Is it a smart product?
I think it's kind of smart.
Smart. Hey, Olga, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Kim.
Hi.
Smart? Is it smart? What is the?
Okay, so you care about accessibility.
I do.
And so that's why. And so far, we have taken your recommendations. We got the sous vide because of you.
Oh, yeah. How do you like it? Yeah.
We love it. We love it. But,
love sous vide. Yeah.
What I want to recommend is the Amazon Smart Oven is amazing. It's Alexa enabled.
See, we mocked that when they announced it. We thought, oh, that's the silliest thing ever. But what you forget is that people with differing abilities might find this very useful.
It's very cool. It micro-convects, it microwaves, it reheats, it roasts, it bakes, it does everything. It's just amazing.
And it's smart.
Yeah. And it's Alexa enabled, and as long as you phrase the commands correctly, which is sometimes a trick.
Right.
But
so it's not a microwave. It does more. It's like a toaster oven with plus.
Oh no, it's more than. I mean, it's big. It's not a toaster oven.
So I have a very expensive June oven, which is a smart oven.
It's probably like that.
Yeah, but this is only $250.
Exactly.
Certified for humans. I love that. Hey, thank you for the recommendation, Olga. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. A lot of us mocked it. Said, oh, look, Alexa in an oven. Oh, how silly. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
We should mention that the Sony surround sound headphones you were talking about a couple of weeks ago, that review is now up on techhive.com.
Correct. And I really love it.
Nice.
They aren't the headphones per se. You can use the system with any headphones you want.
Oh. So they're just a headphone amp or a headphone box.
It's a headphone. It's not even a box. It's an app you put on your phone or your tablet or whatever. Yeah, it's nothing.
How much is it?
Nothing.
It costs nothing, and there you go. But you have to listen to the phone.
You have to have a headphone. You have to have a pair of headphones.
But also a smartphone, right? Because he has a smartphone app.
Yeah. You got to have a smartphone.
So the source for the music will be your smartphone.
Well, there are actually three sources. So yes, you have to pay for the source. You have to pay for Tidal. Or Qobuz, Qobuz,
Buz. I like it. Yeah.
Qobuz. Or Nugs.net, Nugs. And Nugs specializes in recordings of live concerts.
Oh, I like that.
Which is really cool. Very cool.
Because the music itself has to also be encoded in this format.
It has to be encoded in this format called 360 Reality Audio from Sony. And what they do is they have to remix it, basically. They have to mix it in this format. And the format is very much like Dolby Atmos. That is object-oriented. So each instrument or sound-emitting element in the mix is an object, and you can place it anywhere in 3D space.
So that is one thing to point out is, at least on Nugs, Nugs.net, they're taking concert recordings and remixing them. They're not getting spatial audio from some sort of interesting recording setup.
Well, they might be. It's possible.
Well, I'm just looking at I doubt in 2009 Bruce Springsteen recorded his show.
Well, no, correct.
That way. But maybe the newer stuff they might be.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, new artists are mixing in this format to begin with.
Wow, this is tempting. I might have to try nugs.net because I would love to, a 2009 Springsteen concert and surround sound like you're standing in the audience.
Well,
that'd be pretty cool.
More than surround sound.
More?
Yeah.
How can it be more than surround?
Well, because they can place objects over your head.
Up, down, left, right, all around.
Yeah, exactly. And on a live concert, they wouldn't typically put the guitar, above you.
Yeah.
Or the drums
right.
or whatever. But they would put audience ambient sound above you.
Nice. And
because
of course,
if you're in a hall with a roof, then you're going to have reflections from overhead.
Interesting. All right.
So you have to mix. So the music, the file has to be mixed in this format.
Right.
And then it's streamed from Tidal or Qobuz or Nugs, and any headphone that you happen to wear while you're streaming it will render the file so that it sounds like the sounds are coming outside your head.
Does it sound very full? And I mean, is it really
tremendous?
Oh, I'm gonna have to try it. There's a 30-day trial on Nugs.
On any of them.
All of them? Okay.
Tidal and Qobuz also have 30-day.
Probably worth doing because you don't know what it's. At least you don't have to buy new headphones or buy new hardware.
Right.
You just
now, if you do buy or have certain select Sony headphones, you can go one step farther.
Ooh. Which,
to tell you the truth, I didn't find to be all that advantageous. That's the one thing about it that I wrote about in the review. But if you have Sony headphones, and I had the WH-1000X noise-canceling wireless headphones, Sony sent them to me, you can use the Sony headphone app, which is also free, to take pictures of your ears. And what it supposedly does is creates a custom profile for your ears, because everybody's ears are uniquely shaped. It's almost like fingerprints. Everybody's ears are different, and the way that sound in the environment around you diffracts around them is unique, based upon the shape of your ears. So if you take a picture of your ears with the Sony app and then apply that, the algorithm that it generates as a result, to the incoming stream from Tidal or Qobuz or Nugs, then supposedly you get an even more personalized, more realistic experience. Now, I tried it, of course, and I listened to some tracks with that personalization and without it. And I didn't hear much of a difference at all.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay. So not worth probably getting the extra hardware.
Not in my opinion, unless you already have them.
Yeah.
If you already have Sony headphones, the particular ones that this works with, then fine. But it's not necessary, in my opinion. I even tried it with in-ear monitors, and it worked fine. So it makes it sound like the sound is outside of your head. To me, I found it to be a much more comfortable listening.
Instead of the kind of claustrophobic headphone
Everything's
experience.
inside your head.
Yeah.
Now, I did direct comparisons, right? I listened to a track without 360 reality audio, and then I played it with, and I said, 360 reality audio is just so much more comfortable. Without it, with the regular stereo track, everything's inside your head. It feels very claustrophobic. Exactly right. Exactly just what you just said. So I think it's very worthwhile. It really sounds great.
I'm going to try it.
I would if I was you.
Because it doesn't cost you anything to try.
That's right.
Now, I got to ask you, did you watch the Super Bowl in 4K HDR? I did.
I did.
I watched it on my Fox Sports app.
Yep.
With directly connected to my 100 megabit download internet.
Yeah.
On my 4K LG B6
OLED
display. It
calibrated.
did say HDR.
Yep.
It looked fantastic.
Fantastic. It was amazing.
No stuttering, no hiccups. There was a long, like almost a minute between.
A minute delay.
Yeah, the live.
I was amazed at that.
Yeah.
I watched it 3 ways, actually. I went back and forth between the Fox Sports 4K HDR, the Dish 4K SDR, standard dynamic range, and the Fox regular 1080p standard dynamic range. And the difference was stunning.
Yeah. SDR actually looked worse
Oh, yeah.
than it normally
Even at
does.
4K.
Yeah.
Even at 4K.
Yeah.
And I compared in particular the 4K with the 1080p, both standard dynamic range, and I found that the Fox upscaling, they upscaled it as we talked about last week
From 1080p,
up to 4K.
Yeah.
That looked better than my TV doing the upscaling.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
From a 1080p signal. So, as I suspected, their upscaling did a better job than my consumer TV did.
Yeah. I think this is the future of live sports. It looked fantastic.
Yes, and the 60 frames per second just looked great.
Very nice.
Very, very
Yeah,
sharp.
I
mean, the people running around and the ball flying through the air and all that stuff.
It's called football. It's just a game we play.
Oh,
It's not,
I guess. Yeah, okay.
There is some pattern to those people running around.
Yeah.
No, I it's funny because I was going back and forth between the living room where we were watching it on a projector.
Yep.
Because there was a lot of people, and then into my office, and I put on headphones, and because it was a minute delay, it was very confusing to have the audio from the other.
You could hear the audio from the other room, right?
But I have to say it was a wonderful experience, and I of course I dimmed the lights, put my feet up.
Yep.
It was great. So
it was really great. It almost made me glad to be watching football.
Almost. next year the Puppy Bowl will be
4K
HDR. You're just gonna love it. Every little hair on their little snout. You'd be incredible. Scott Wilkinson, he's at Home Theater Geek at techhive.com and our regular home theater guru each and every week on the show. Thank you, Scott.
Betcha.
Yeah, the commercials. I don't remember. I think they seemed like they were in 4K. I didn't really notice.
Some of them were.
Yeah.
Some of them were actually in HDR as well. I went back and forth. The ones that were specific to the Super Bowl. The ones that were made
when they
for the
spend
Super
a lot of. They're spending millions of dollars for the airtime. They're going to spend millions of dollars on the ad. They're going to do. Why not do it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they did. Some of the standard ad. There were a few sort of more standard ads that you would see anywhere, and those weren't.
Those didn't look so good, in fact.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the Jason Momoa ad, which was hilarious, I love that ad.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And the Lil Nas X ad with Sam Elliott.
I agree with you.
That was so great when his mustache goes.
Yeah. You're right. That was really fantastic. I completely forgot about that one. So
that was just hilarious.
Yeah,
just hilarious. Cool. And you see some of those ads on TV as you're watching TV after the Super Bowl, but they're almost always cut down.
Right.
They're not as long or as cinematic, shall we say?
Right. No,
as the one that played during the Super Bowl.
It makes you have to watch the Super Bowl. That's just the way it is. There's no way around that.
Yeah. I wish I had been able to record the Fox Sports.
Yeah, there was no way, and there's no way to see it after the fact now either,
Correct.
Right? You just had to have been lucky enough to watch it at the time.
Well, that's why I sat there and watched the whole damn Super Bowl.
It's kind of frustrating, actually, because I'd like to see it again in 4K, but you can't. But someday that'll be possible.
Yeah,
I think we're going to go more and more in that direction. I would guess
toward on demand, even live stuff.
Yeah, well, it's live via cable.
Well, you can cable or satellite. You can record it on your DVR.
Right, but the DVR has to be 4K.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Which mine is. I have a dish satellite feed, and I subscribe to the 4K package that has 4K, and my DVR will record 4K. But it was standard dynamic range.
Right.
So I really wanted to record the high dynamic range and be able to go back afterwards and study them more carefully rather than just in real time.
Right.
Or a minute past real time. That was almost a full minute. I counted.
Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah.
Almost a full minute delay.
Yeah.
But man, the red of the whichever team had the red jerseys.
Yeah, those guys,
whoever they were.
Kansas.
Both teams have red, right?
Well, the Niners, the Niners were had to wear white. I can't remember whoever the away team was.
I guess the Niners were considered the away team.
So they wore their away jerseys.
Right.
Yeah.
But the red and the green of the grass.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Wow.
But I was just getting off on the crispness of it and the smoothness of the high frame rate. I really did feel
I mean, my wife came in a little bit, and I showed her. I said, "Hey, check this out," and I switched between them, and she said, "Oh man, that high dynamic range has much more dimensionality. It almost looks 3D."
It's funny. I couldn't get anybody to come and watch it with me.
Really?
Yeah. It was for them. It was about all being together watching the game.
Well, that is an important element of it. That's true.
Yeah.
That's why you have a big Super Bowl party.
That's right. That's why we put it on the big screen.
That's right.
Yep. Can you stick around for the top of the hour?
Sure, happy to.
Okay. Was the audio? Some Dot Pitch says it wasn't full surround.
No, the Fox Sports app on my Roku Ultra was 2.1.
Oh, that's
that was
ridiculous.
Another bummer. That was
ridiculous.
A bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because the broadcast had surround.
Had 5.1.
Yeah.
That's right. That made no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
That was a bummer.
Well, they were using all the bandwidth for the other stuff.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Scott, I'll talk to you in a bit. Wow, haven't heard this in a long time. Lady Laura digging it out of the stacks, blowing the dust off, says Bay City Rollers on. What could that be? Leo Laporte, an artifact from the archive. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your tech guy, answering the calls at 8888 Ask Leo. Chris in Santa Barbara, California. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Pretty fantastic. Long-time listener. I want to thank you for, I guess, dating ourselves along with that song. You did teach me that there was a world outside of AOL.
Oh, my goodness. There's still people, I talk to them all the time, with AOL email addresses. You know who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember when I thought they were the internet, and you
They were.
You set me straight on that.
They were in a way. And then there was the very famous AOL summer on the internet when AOL finally gave its users access to the real internet. And everybody, that summer, everybody was so worried. Oh, no, here they come. Here they come.
And along came Internet Explorer. What is that?
Yeah. You are an old timer if you remember all that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
So here's kind of, I mean, so much to talk about, especially when it comes to surround sound, which I've always been, going way back. I always had a 5.1, surround for watching TV back before flat screens and all that stuff. Along the time, but from then to now, of course, headsets. And I've had the headsets from gaming headsets that actually had the 5-point drivers in your headset,
yeah.
So many speakers.
Yeah.
And then synthetic qualities come a long way. And so I went in, to Best Buy to get a new quality single driver synthetic surround sound to watch movies at home. And I fell in love, unfortunately, with a SteelSeries gaming headset.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Online stuff. And so I started with the Pro, and then I actually took that back and upgraded to the wireless. And I thought, you know what? This thing has fiber optic. I can fiber optic out from my receiver into this new SteelSeries Pro Deck, or whatever you call it, that little thing that sits on your desktop. And I can watch movies on my 4K TV with my wireless new $300 and some odd headset. And I can watch great TV with great headphones with new surround sound. And no, I could not.
Oh, interesting. It didn't work.
So
look who's here. Scott Wilkinson is nodding along in the background.
It's gaming. It's two different worlds. And I'm just so surprised that is so that no one's come around and figured out how to blend the two.
Do you know, part of the problem, you're right. I mean, it's two different protocols for the surround. Do you know, Scott, what the gaming surround is? It's not the same as 5.1 Dolby, apparently.
Well, I would think it is. I don't know. I know next to nothing about gaming.
I don't know why you would make something that was, well, I do know
different.
Because
Well, yeah, right.
because that's how you make
We're
your
talking
money.
about it earlier on the show. You know, it's all about the company, not about the consumer.
So is it labeled Dolby 5.1 on the box of the SteelSeries?
Well, they are, but when you look even when you go in the store, you have your surround sound for movies in a totally different section, and all the labels and all the reads online and everything is gaming. They never talk about enjoy movies.
Yeah.
So it is two worlds because it's a gaming headset. Now, with that being said, when I had my previous headphones that were a gaming headphones with 5 individual, speaker drivers, which had great surround sound, that I could plug in fiber optically in from my 5.1, Onyo or whatever my receiver was.
Onkyo.
Yeah, Onkyo. And we don't really look at that stuff much. It pretty much sits there.
It's a black box,
anyways, Yeah, the black box. But that worked. So I had it working at one time, and I was wondering, maybe I'm missing. There's DTS. There's so many different options that maybe I didn't combo right. I scoured.
Are you using you're using the Arctis 7s, the SteelSeries?
Yeah.
Are you using the app? Does it require an app?
So it does have an app, and that helps you. You can go in the app and choose surround 5.1, 7.1.
See, I'm wondering if that's part of the issue is that it's set up to work with this app. Because you're not using the app when you're watching TV, or are you?
Well, no.
You can't,
no,
right? Because you plug it into the 5.1 surround sound or 7.1 surround sound system.
Yeah.
So that's my guess is... Yeah, see, this Arctis 7 does not have a hardware DAC. So it's my guess that the software's doing that.
Yeah, it's decoding the.
Yeah, this is always the problem, right? You get data from the content that is in a coded fashion. It's the Dolby
it's called
7
bitstream,
and it has to be. It's not the sound directly. It has to be decoded.
No. Correct.
I'm guessing that the app is the issue here, that you have to go through the app to get the surround sound. So because you're not using the app when you watch TV, you're not going to get the surround sound. You need to figure out a way to get the TV through.
The computer or
exactly.
Yeah, what a pain in the butt that is.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not. So in general, if you want to do this, my suggestion is get something that does the decoding in hardware. Because I
guess this base station doesn't do decoding. That's the key
the software does it. So what you need is one that if the hardware did it, you'd plug that into your surround sound AV receiver, your Onkyo.
Yep.
And the Onkyo would send it bitstream, and it would say, "Oh yeah, it's Dolby," and it would decode it to the headphones. Instead, you somehow have to get the bitstream that's coming out of your AV receiver into your computer where the app is running, doing the decoding. They save money doing it that way, and you would say, "Well, but I spent hundreds of dollars for these." Yeah, but including a hardware DAC would add even more, I think, to the overall price. So that's my guess. There probably are surround sound headphones. I know there are. That would do it in hardware. In fact, that's part of the problem with this Sony thing. Notice the Sony surround only works with certain services because it's an app, right?
And only in content that was mixed that way.
Right. So the decoding, which is a computer process, has to be done before you'll get surround. And in the case of the SteelSeries, it's got to be done in that app. So you need to figure. I bet you there's a way to do that, though. There may be some lag introduced. You got a lot of wires going around. Yeah.
Yes. So the answer I came up with is, okay, watch my new 32-inch desktop and sit at my desk and watch a movie and enjoy it, which is fantastic.
I hate that.
But then you're getting surround, right?
I'm getting surround with a nice screen mounted perfectly in my face.
It's just
I'm
small.
in that world.
But if you're close enough to it, it's this. We don't measure. Really, you shouldn't measure screen size in inches at diagonal. You should measure it in the angle of view, and that's relative to how close you are. So if it's filling your vision because you're only a few feet away, that's as big as a full big 80-inch screen when you're 10 feet away. So that's the key: is the angle of the viewing Well, you've figured out a way to do it. I'm sorry that it doesn't work. And I think that that's my theory anyway, Scott. And I think that that's probably what's going on.
Very reasonable to me. Yeah, exactly.
Something needs to do the decoding.
Correct.
And normally certainly your AV receiver can do it. That's,
Yep.
But it's not. Oh, I wonder, is there a way he could get, instead of get bitstream from his AV receiver, if his headphone, he could.
I don't think Toslink or optical will carry.
It just carries data.
Decoded 5.1.
No, because it's data. It's a data connection.
It's bitstream. It's a data stream.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is where, it's what we started the show talking about: software and versus hardware. Hey, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. I'm glad Scott sticks around sometimes to answer those tough questions. So I really appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All righty, Scott Rooney. I think we need to go to Scott Wilkinson, who is coming to us from the remote.
Research here.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to look more into this. The Sony WH-L600 RF wireless surround wireless headphones.
There you go.
That they're not gaming headphones.
But that's the problem. So the game sends data to through the computer, and that's the problem, right? And then, so that's why the app can take a hold of it.
Yeah, but this says designed for your home theater. I'm looking at the Best Buy website.
Right.
Connect to your TV or AV source and optimize your experience with sound modes tailored for movie style.
You have to get a different pair of headphones to do it.
Well, yeah, he's already got a pair of headphones. Yeah. Dolby Audio. It doesn't say Dolby Surround, but it says Dolby. This Best Buy site is a little useless. So let me look up.
I bet you there are headphones that have a DAC. And an external DAC with decoding built in, and that you can plug into any headphone source. You need optical in. You need optical out of your computer to do that, and that may be another. Or your TV. The TV's system will have it, but your computer may or may not have optical out. But you need bitstream going into a box that then decodes it into the headphones.
Correct. Okay, let me look at the Sony site here. It's taking a little while to load. Let's see. 7.1 channel simulated by Dolby Audio. Long battery life. Audio. Okay, it's got a charging stand, which is also a transmitter, which is where you plug in the audio inputs. So you plug in optical, digital, or even HDMI. That's interesting. Into this charging stand, which is also its transmitter, and immersive surround with theater mode. Blah blah blah. This probably does exactly what he wants. Unfortunately, it's not the headphones he owns. Let's see here. Surround effects, decoding. It decodes Dolby Digital, Dolby Pro Logic, and DTS. It's not Atmos, but it's surround sound, and it decodes. That's the key. That's what we were talking about earlier. Leo is right. You need a transmitter that decodes a surround bit stream, and this thing does it. What do you know? And it is, how much is it? Let's see here. Do they tell you? They don't tell you on the Sony website how much it is. But I think on the Best Buy website, it was about, let me look up Best Buy. I think it was about $300. Now you've got me really interested in this. I'm gonna ask. $300, $299.98. I'm gonna ask Tech Hive if I can review these. I think you've piqued my curiosity here. Look at that. That's kind of interesting. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna try and review these because that's great. That's a cool thing, and it doesn't seem to be very common. So, hey, everybody in the Oh, man. Yeah, loquacious. Yeah, that's I'm gonna look into that. So let's see. Oh, Tim Elliott asked, do I have a link to the Sony Android app? The Sony app is just called Sony Headphone Connect. And you can get that for Android or iOS. Just look in the app store on your phone and you'll find it, and it's free. But it doesn't do anything unless you have a pair of Sony headphones, and in particular, what they call select Sony headphones. So it doesn't work with every single one they make, but certainly probably the higher end ones it does. So Tim, it's called the Sony Headphone Connect. The Pen guy asked, can the Academy Awards be streamed in 4K? I don't know. Depends on if they're going to do it or not. That's a very good question. I was planning to watch this Sunday. And I just don't know. I'll have to do some research into that. Key43 said, my buddy's house I went to, he had the Sling TV and said his TV was 4K, but the picture looked crappy. Probably because Sling TV was streaming 1080p from Fox. I don't know if it was able to stream the 4K from Fox, but either way, it was probably standard dynamic range. And I have to say, standard dynamic range to me, even in 4K, didn't look that great. It looked wimpy and washed out and dull. Certainly compared to the HDR, which was like, whoa, Nelly, look at that. That's amazing. So I'm not entirely surprised. Let's see, Marsworm. I have an older version of those. I guess this ones we were just talking about, the Sony headphones with no HDMI. Nice, but headphone is a bit cheap feeling. Yeah, that's a common problem. Boy, I got to tell you, these WH-1000X M3 Mark III, third generation, they are so comfortable. Wow, the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn, over-the-ear headphones. They are just wonderful, lightweight. They don't feel head doesn't feel like it's in a vice grip. They're really, really nice. They ain't cheap, but Phoenix Warp. Let's see, Oscar for sound design to Ford versus Ferrari. I haven't seen many of the movies that are up for Oscars. I didn't see Ford versus Ferrari, although I was interested in it. I'll probably stream it when it's available. Unless it is already, in which case I will. That did look kind of like a fun film, and I used to be a car guy. In high school, I was a serious car guy. So Ford versus Ferrari is an interesting thing to me. I'm sure the sound design is very good. I mean, all the motors and the cars running around the tracks and so on, it probably was great. So I will look forward to that, to checking that out. I also did spring for CBS All Access to watch Picard, and so far I've been enjoying it. They have three episodes on there now, and I've been liking it. I have to tell you, Discovery has been okay, but not as interesting to me. I watched the first half of the first season, and I'll probably watch more of it just because it's Star Trek. But it hasn't been like a wow. But Picard, I've really enjoyed. It's been really very good. Let's see. I only have less than a minute left. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Oh, Mike Heiss, are you in the chat room? You are. Woo! Many choices, including AT&T, which had better color. Soft Sports, Fox Sports app on Shield. On Roku TV had the best color and resolution. Yeah, the Fox Sports app on my Roku Ultimate just looked great. Really great. And I was glad to be able to, compare them. And for the first time ever, I actually watched most of the Super Bowl. Again, mostly for the commercials and the halftime show. But
thank you, Scott.
There you go. My pleasure.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, you know, all that rigmarole surrounding us at all times, watching our every moves. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. If you want to talk high tech, I'd love to talk high tech with you. 888-827-5536. Toll free. Anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Remember the old days of computers? They talked about something called a killer app. Do you remember that? The killer app. The first killer app I'm thinking, was on the Apple II, was called VisiCalc. Do you remember that? The first spreadsheet. In fact, when I was at CES this year, I ran into Bob Frankston, who was one of the two guys, Dan Bricklin, I think wrote the software. Bob Frankston designed it, thought up the idea, ran the business. Bob's still around, great guy. And, you know, he's just wandering around kind of unrecognized at CES. I said to my wife, who was a finance person, Lisa, come here. Do you know who this is? She said, no, it's Bob Frankston. Who's that? I said, Lisa, if it weren't for Bob Frankston, your life would be a lot harder. He invented the spreadsheet. Bob, who's very self-effacing, but Dan Bricklin really wrote the software. I said, Bob, take credit. VisiCalc, that was the first killer app. That sold Apple IIs like crazy. It was the first time anybody used Apple IIs in business because they could do this thing called a spreadsheet, which prior to VisiCalc, the way people did it was a piece of paper and a pencil with an eraser. And they'd make a table, they'd write down all the numbers, and then they'd erase, and then they'd calculate all the other numbers. I mean, it was a painful process, but that's how you did things like balance sheets. It was hard. Then along comes VisiCalc, recalculates automatically. You put numbers in and formulas. Nowadays, we kind of take it for granted, but that was a killer app. That changed everything. And you know, both Dan Bricklin and Bob Frankston are still around, very active, doing interesting things. And then one of their, I think it was a sales guy, one of their young guys said, you know, this Apple II is great, but there's this new computer coming along from IBM called the IBM PC. He left. He said, I'm going to make a spreadsheet for the IBM PC. His name was Mitch Kapor, and he created Lotus 123. You may not remember VisiCalc. Surely, maybe you don't remember Lotus 123. Everybody remembers Excel, right? Which is the grandson of VisiCalc. Those are killer apps. They sold computers. That's what a killer app does. And I think that the idea is long gone. I don't know if people talk about killer apps. What's the killer app for the iPhone? I mean, there's some really great apps. There's, you know, I mean, what would you do without Google Maps, right? Or Waze? Photos, right? The camera on a smartphone. The camera is a killer app, I guess. But you don't. It's not the kind of thing where you read about this thing and go, oh, I have to buy that computer to do that thing. Or do you? I don't know. Tinder. Somebody in the chat room says, Tinder. Maybe. You know what? Tinder might be a killer app. Lately, I've been looking at and starting to use a category of app that you could only do on a computer. You couldn't do on paper. No, they're kind of like note-taking apps, but on steroids. The idea is you can, it's like sort of like a to-do list and a project manager and a notepad all in one. Things can link back and forth one to the other. I've tried a number of them. It came to my, I've been on, once you get the iPad, that's when you start seeing all of these Notability and Good Notes, and there's a whole bunch of them. I think I ended up using Notability, but it wasn't quite everything I was looking for. Then there's mind mapping apps, you know, where you put you dump all the ideas out of your brain and then you connect them up and start to build a structure out of them. Lately, I think this is a killer app. I've been using an app called Notion, which is you can use for free, Notion.so. They're out of San Francisco, but Notion lets you create, it's kind of like a wiki if you're used to wikis. Wikipedia is the best known wiki, but it's private. It's kind of, but it can make public web pages people can use, share. It's very free form. You can have links within anything. You can have templates. So they have student templates, business templates, household templates. The data lives on their servers. For some people, that's not a good thing. It'd be nice to have something where I didn't have to hope that the company stayed in business. They have a pretty good business model. They offer enterprise plans for companies that want to use this. We use at our company, our podcast network, Twit, we use Google Docs. And I think this is a lot better, honestly, than Google Docs. It's a lot better than a note-taking app. It's more than all of the above. It's a lot better than a website. It's a lot better than a to-do list. It can do all of that and more. It's got, I feel like that maybe we haven't had a killer app for a long time that makes you, by the way, Notion has apps for Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. So, you can use it wherever. And there's a web interface, so I use that on Linux, which doesn't have an app for it. I think this might be a killer app. The idea, and it's a new way of working. Just as a spreadsheet, really, when computer spreadsheets first came out, they really changed how business people think about numbers, how they store numbers, how they work with numbers. It gave them all sorts of analytic tools they didn't have before, or they had, but they might have been extremely painful with pencil and eraser. I feel like Notion is like that. It's gonna create a new way of thinking, and it's not alone. There's another one that's very interesting it's called Rome at romeresearch.com, also free. These are kind of free-form note-taking apps that allow you to add structure later. It's hard to describe. What's your killer app? What's the app? Is there anything an app that you said, wow, I got to buy a computer just to do this? I think part of the reason that whole concept is antiquated now is because we all have these computing devices anyway. So nobody's going out to get a computer. Back in the Apple II days, nobody had a computer. To say this is a killer app, well, I'm going to, Microsoft Office maybe was a killer app in the Windows days. Or you say, I have to have a computer just to do this. I have to have a word processor just to do, I need a device to do it. Now we have the device. We're looking for the app. I got the phone. I wish there was something serious I could do. Is Instagram a killer app? Maybe. Facebook might be. 8888 ask Leo. What's your killer app? On the Apple Watch, maybe the activity monitor, that might be. I think that's a good example because people don't normally have smart watches, but they might go out and get one because there's something on that smartwatch they just have to have. Does that make sense? 888-827-5536. That's the phone number. Website, you can comment there. You can also find everything that we talk about there, and it's free. There's no sign-up. TechGuyLabs.com. We also have a great chat room. I don't mention that enough. irc.twit.tv. Old school IRC chat. But a lot of people in there watching the show or listening to the show live and chatting along. Our show today brought to you by Zapier, and I mean brought to you by. I like our advertisers. The advertisers that I really have something going for are the ones that I use day in, day out, and Zapier is absolutely in that category. And the thing about Zapier is I use it without even knowing it. You're going to love Zapier. Zapier automates the stuff you do day in, day out. We look at a computer and we say, your job, Mr. Computer, is to do the stuff that's too boring, too repetitive, too time-consuming for me to do. The problem is you're not a programmer. Well, maybe you are, but and a lot of programmers, I can write software, but a lot of them, people like me, we still use Zapier. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to be a coder. Zapier lets you automate processes very easily. It starts by connecting to the apps you use the most. Google Drive, Gmail, Salesforce, whatever you use at home or in your business. Zapier has 1,500 connections, 1,500 apps they support, and more all the time. I was talking about Notion. They say number one on our to-do list is to connect to Zapier. When that happens, man, I'm going to go crazy. Because one of the things I love about Zapier, it has multi-step zaps. Nobody else. That's very fancy. I'll give you, a zap I talk about all the time because I use it every day. When I am in, news gathering mode, I open my news reader, reader, but this supports many other ones. And anytime I favorite an article, Zapier sees that, and I've set it up so that Zapier automatically posts a link to Pinboard, automatically posts to my Twitter feed for links for Twit, automatically posts or actually creates a new line in a Google Drive spreadsheet, Google Sheet, with just the right formatting, creates that line. That's the spreadsheet Karsten uses, my producer uses, to put the shows together. All that from one click on the mouse. Everything else happens. That's Zapier. It's the most customizable, the most flexible. I want you to try it free for 2 weeks. Through the end of the month, if you go to zapier.com/techguy, just play with this. You don't need to be geek. You don't need to be a coder. I know a lot of salespeople use it because it works with spreadsheets and CRM, and you could engage leads. You can import new customers. You can notify your team when something happens. And it's just, for me, it is a killer app. That's a killer app. And you don't need a developer. You just need Zapier. Zapier, Z-A-P-I-E-R, Zapier.com/techguy. There are now 4.5 million people using Zapier. I'm one of them. Very happy. There's a free tier, but I do I think the starter, which is enough for me. There's different tiers depending on how much you need it. 4.5 million people use Zapier. Get this, on average, every one of them saves about 40 hours a month by using Zapier. That's a whole work week that you don't have to do anything. If I add it up, it's probably the same for me because of, click the star, all these things. If I had to do them by hand, that'd be another 10 minutes. And I do that hundreds of times a day. So you know what? I believe it, 40 hours a week. Make more time to grow your business. It's great for home automation. Right now, through the end of the month, Zapier is free for 2 weeks when you go to zapier.com/techguy, Z-A-P-I-E-R, zapier.com/techguy. Thank you for supporting us, Zapier, by buying an ad on the Tech Guy Show. Thank you, Tech Guy listener, for supporting us by using that special address, zapier.com/techguy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, line 1. Scott in Arlington, Texas. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. Got a little computer problem I'm hoping you can help me with.
That's what I'm here for. I'm your Tech Guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a 8-year-old Lenovo that I replaced the hard drive in about 3 years ago with an SSD. This week on Wednesday, it wouldn't boot up. It opened to the Lenovo page and wouldn't do anything more. I took everything I could to make it change. Took the battery out, disconnected power, hit safe button.
So when you say went to the Lenovo page, you mean the graphic that comes on when you first turn on the computer? It says Lenovo.
Yeah,
Did that just stay on the screen and never change?
Yeah, I left it there. It stayed there for several.
So it
hours.
Never went on to boot up anything. It just stuck there.
Right. Then 24 hours later, it booted up with no problem.
Interesting. No, that sounds right. So that means there's nothing wrong with the hard drive. There's nothing wrong with the Windows installation. When it stops at that Lenovo page, it means it's having trouble loading in. We used to call it BIOS. Depending on the age of the computer, it might still be BIOS, the basic input-output system. Or more likely on any computer in the last, 5 years, it would be UEFI, which is the extended firmware interface or unified extensible firmware interface with the U. And that replaces BIOS. But what it is it's the first program the computer runs. When you turn on the computer, it doesn't know anything. It's a bunch of machinery, right? That doesn't have a program. So it needs to load a program. That's stored in what we call firmware, not hardware, not software, but firmware. It's firm because it's kind of like hardware. It's actually a chip, but it can be modified if need to be. That's why you can update your firmware update your BIOS on a computer. So the firmware is the first program any computer launches. The first thing that happens in the firmware is it puts the splash screen up. That's that Lenovo screen. Now, sometimes if you hit escape, and I'm not sure on this machine, but a lot of machines, if you hit escape, that splash is an ad. It's dumb. It's dopey. You can actually turn it off in your settings, and I usually do, because what it's hiding is what's going on as the computer's trying to start up. And that information's invaluable because where it's getting stuck will tell you what's wrong. It's it can't get beyond this. So if it happens again, is it booting now fine, or is it?
Well, I haven't rebooted again. I've backed up all my stuff, and I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I mean, the prudent thing would be after this happens, and if you do get it to boot again, is then yes, back up everything, get everything off of there just in case. But probably what's happening, there's a variety of things that could be happening. It could be that the chip that holds this firmware is failing. You know, there's a battery that backs this stuff up. The CMOS is a chip that is volatile, that without battery backup will lose its memory. In there is all the configuration data. It could be that that's what's happened. The battery's failed. That means your clock would die, but also information about what kind of hard drive and what the hardware holds. It's hard for the computer to boot up if it doesn't know, for instance, where to look for the hard drive. So it could be that failed. It could be that, and this is why you got to get past that Lenovo screen, see what's underneath it. It could be that you'll see, if you hit escape, the Lenovo screen goes away and it'll say the name of the firmware, the manufacturer. You've seen this a million times. And this is why Lenovo and most companies now cover it up, because why would you want to know that? It'll show looking for the hard drives. It'll show which drives are connected and so forth. It'll show you some of the boot process. Did you ever hear any beeps coming out of the machine?
No, but it tried to, just before it failed to boot, it was trying to start the disk drive, and you'd hear that thing click up.
Okay. So it may be underneath that Lenovo splash screen. What it says is trying to boot into Windows, and I can't. So it could be a failed hard drive. So now you may say, well, all right, but then it worked. Well, did it work after you left it for a while?
I left it on, but with the lid closed overnight, and then the next time I came in and I turned it off and then turned it back on, and it booted up
fine
instantly.
Oh, isn't that weird?
And with that SSD drive, it's 10% what it used to be before I got it. So
10% of the size?
10% of the time. The time to boot was 10% what it.
It was a lot faster.
A whole lot faster. Yeah.
So this is is that the only drive in there? Is this SSD drive?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It could be that that's failed. It could be that the interface to it's failed. I mean, what the computer's saying is I can't boot. And what your job is to figure out why it couldn't boot and then why it can all of a sudden. When I see stuff like that, I usually think there's a thermal problem. Sometimes computers won't boot until they get hot. This is not the case here because it booted instantly from a cold start. So I don't think it's thermal. I'm not sure what's going on. Could be electrical. Could be a failing power supply. If the power supply is below spec, doesn't give you enough juice to boot up, you'd get this symptom.
That's interesting. It had a wonky power supply from day one.
All right.
And,
so that's
it wouldn't.
The good. Now it's a laptop, I take it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so a little more complicated. If it's a desktop, it's easy to replace the power supply. Laptop, I don't know if you want to do it on your own. Lenovo's are pretty good for repairs. They're pretty modular. They don't do like other companies that glue stuff in.
They absolutely refused to look at the power supply when I sent it in twice while it was under warranty.
What do you mean refused?
They told me they would not open that up. It was not an option in their list of
how interesting.
Deals, and they wouldn't do it.
That's very disappointing because that sounds to me now that's what's going on. That's exactly that would match the symptoms, which is it didn't boot once and it did boot another time, and a flaky power supply. That's it right there.
Well, that was over 8 years ago, and when I thought it was just a loose connection in the power supply.
Could be.
You could rattle it around a little bit, and it would start working again.
Could be, and it could be that loose connection came loose.
Do it twice with the help of a friend who's a computer expert, engineer. He told me how to go in and do it, and I went in and reset all those.
Here's what I would do. The good news is Lenovo's, especially older Lenovo's, have a high repairability. I would go and look online for some videos. Search for the model replacing the power supply and enter that model number. I bet you somebody's put it up on YouTube. And look at that. You might be doing it yourself. Be careful. I don't want you to shock yourself. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's been everywhere. Johnny Jet, welcome.
Thank you. Not lately.
You're a homebody today.
Well, I was in New York last week, but I canceled my round-the-world trip for next week.
And I have
no regrets.
For years, you've told me, and I finally got around to doing it, to apply for global entry. It's a great U.S. program that lets you, get a special, TSA pre, so you get special screening. It speeds your way into and out of the country.
$100 for 5 years.
Well, but don't get so excited because
New York.
The Trump administration has decided to suspend global entry for states with sanctuary cities. It's punitive. And if they started with New York, if you have global entry and you're a New York State resident, you continue to use it, but you won't be able to renew it.
Right.
And they have intimated that they'll probably do this to other sanctuary states, including California.
Yep.
It's incredibly infuriating. I applied more than 6 months ago, and it's still pending, and I'm thinking that's probably why it's pending. Because they say, well, let's not give it to them yet. Let's wait and see if we're going to suspend it in California.
Well, I don't know if that's why it's pending, but it is discerning. And, I haven't applied for my daughter yet because we're waiting for her passport. She's 6 months old.
How old do you have to be to get global entry?
You can be a week old.
As long as you have a passport.
As long as you have a passport. So Jack has it. Jack's had it for 2 years, my 3-year-old. And he has to go in and he had to go in and do an interview. Obviously, he couldn't speak back then.
So mom and dad do the answer the questions, right?
You do, but it's not easy to get an appointment, by the way. So a tip,
they've made that easier, incidentally, and this is why I reapplied. You can now do it without an appointment in certain airports as you're coming back into the U.S. from international travel.
True, that is one of the tips. So
that's why I applied, because I was in the Middle East, and I thought, hey, I could do this if they accept my application, but that was a while ago, and I'm still waiting. Well,
so the other tip is that if you are getting an appointment and you're not in New York, and hopefully it doesn't carry over to California, but I think it's going to.
I think it is too.
You can always check other cities. Don't look at the one closest to you. I know people that will travel to a different city.
That doesn't mean you're not a New York resident, though, by the way.
Right.
It just means where you're doing the interview.
Correct. And mine actually expires next year, I believe. I have, or 2 years. I have a but anyway, I can't use it if I'm traveling with my family because my daughter doesn't have one. And if she doesn't have it, then
everybody in the family has to have it for you to skip the line.
So, but another tip, by the way, if you don't want to pay the $100 for 5 years for global entry, which includes TSA pre, you can get Nexus if you go to California. If you go to Canada, it's $50, includes global entry and TSA pre, and it's for 5 years. But there's also Mobile Passport, which is an app developed by it's run by the government. I have
that app on my phone, you bet.
Yeah, so actually, I've heard a lot from a lot of people at SFO. I've never experienced it in LA and other cities that I go to, but some people say that global entry lines at SFO are so long that they actually use the Mobile Passport app.
I've noticed that, by the way. Sometimes there's, with the same thing with TSA pre, the line is longer because everybody knows about it. It's because of your fault, Johnny. You've been telling everybody about it, and now everybody does it. You know what's weird? Global entry is available for residents of Argentina, Colombia, Germany, India, Mexico, Panama, Singapore, Switzerland, Taiwan, and the UK, but not if you're in New York State.
Well, yeah.
Insane.
And I have a lot of friends who are up in arms, and actually one of them is actually suing the government right now.
As they should. It's clearly punitive. It has nothing to do with security.
For sure. But
in fact, global entry makes us more secure, right? Because of the strict vetting, people with global entry are safe.
Agreed. Actually, they should use it because that is a way to find out who are the criminals and
The
not.
bad
Because
guys.
They do have. You have to fill out a long survey. You just can't get global entry, as you mentioned before, right away. It takes months for your application to approve, and then you got to find an appointment. But with Mobile Passport, it used to be free, and now they charge $14.95, I think, a year.
Okay.
But the trick is with Mobile Passport so you download the app before you land.
Yeah.
Make sure you have it and then all your information in there when you land, and you take your picture. But check to see if the global entry line, if you have global entry, is short or long. If it's long, then you take a picture of yourself and then submit the Mobile Passport. Because once you submit the Mobile Passport, you can't use global entry.
Right.
If for the same day.
Right.
And you only have 4 hours once you do the Mobile Passport to go through the line. So you can't do it before you take off unless your flight's only an hour.
And it's not every airport, but I'm looking at the map and it's a lot of airports.
There's a lot of airports.
Yeah.
It used to only be in a couple, and now they expanded.
So
I don't
this
know how many.
stores your passport on your phone?
It stores your information, and then you'll take a photo of yourself. And it's
great.
available. It used to be free. Now it's $14.95, which is still
Worth it.
It's not bad, but global entry is way better because it's $100 for 5 years instead of $15 every year, and it's usually global entry lines are so much quicker. I can usually go from the gate when I land to outside within a few minutes if I'm not checking bags, which I'm not when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip, but we'll see what happens. Let's hope California doesn't go down that road, but I think it's going to. Another quick tip, by the way, I know you love Briggs & Riley bags.
Mm-hmm.
They have that annual Kindness Day coming up February 17th. And so for the whole month of February, if you have a lightly used Briggs & Riley bag that you want to get rid of, go into one of their participating stores and they'll give you $100 credit towards a new bag. Or if you just have a lightly used another brand name bag, they'll give you $50 off for donating it. And
that's nice. One of the reasons we like Briggs & Riley is they have kind of a lifetime repair guarantee.
They do, and actually, I have one. I have a bunch of them on my rack, and they do not pay me. By the way, they have given me free luggage in the past, but this is not why I'm mentioning it. But one of my handles is broken, and I'll just call them up and I'll get it repaired. I just haven't found time to go down there. But
it's nice that there's stores everywhere now too. It's not just mail order; they're all over the place.
There are.
Yeah.
And it's a real nice thing.
I am all Briggs & Riley. I've slowly, thanks to you, they don't pay me or give me bags, but because Johnny Jet recommends them, I got them. And I've slowly over time converted my carry-ons, my big luggage, my medium-sized luggage. I've converted it all to Briggs & Riley. I really like those.
Not all of my luggage is Briggs & Riley. My roller bag is, and I beat that up really bad. And I honestly, I have that thing loaded. It's heavy. I roll it downstairs sometimes. Are
you one of those people? I mean, first of all, I don't know how we lived without roller bags. But my wife is one of them that has to have 4 wheels, a swiveler spinner.
Right.
And
my wife's that way.
She mocks me because I have the 2-wheel, the back one where you have to tilt it forward to roll it. Which one? Right. You're the tilter, not a spinner.
Well, you know what? When with my son, I like the 4-wheel because I put him on top and I hold him and we could just cruise through the airport. But when I'm by myself, I use that Briggs & Riley, which is a briefcase roller bag. And then I put my duffel bag, which is a Roots bag, which is Canadian
Roots
brand.
Is supposed to be very good for duffel bags, yeah.
And I use a bungee cord. They don't make this anymore, but I just strap it onto my bag and I can just cruise around the airport. Nothing will fall off. But another suitcase that I recommended in the past that has 4 wheels is called Roam, and we talked about it. ROAM.
Yep.
You can design it yourself, like 100 different colors. You can do the wheels, each side panel. So I have a really colorful one.
It's nice to have a unique bag because otherwise they all look the same.
I try not to check a bag, but when I'm traveling with the family, I'm bringing like a U-Haul truck. So
do you check? You don't check your Roam bag. That's a carry-on.
No. That's a big bag. You have to check
bag.
it.
Okay.
No, the duffel bag. I don't check the Roots, but the Roam, which is the 4-wheel.
The Roam you
big,
do. Yeah.
Although they do make small carry-ons too.
JohnnyJet.com. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you.
So you have your spinner or your tilter? My big luggage is a spinner because I don't want to tilt the big luggage, but the carry-on. Yeah, so this global entry thing really frosts my flakes. I feel like this
with
is
you.
unbelievably messed up. It's just like raising income taxes on the blue states. It's like, dudes,
Right.
dude. Anyway, what can you do?
Well, I guess you can call your representative.
I guess they could make a bill, I guess. I mean, I don't think that was the intent of global entry. But
No, that's. But I'm waiting for it. I mean, after I heard what he said yesterday.
oh, you know he'll do it in California.
Yeah, I'm surprised he
he'll
didn't do California first. The only reason why he didn't was because New York basically, kicked him out.
Mm-hmm. What was I was going to say something. I didn't want to say it on the air, but I can't remember now.
By the way, I had all these other apps and websites. I was
Oh,
gonna talk
don't
about,
say
but-
that.
but-
When you say that, now see people listening are going to now tweet you. See, Leo always talks over all your apps.
Well, but I'm actually happy because this is way more important, and I'm glad that I was able to talk about the mobile passport because I think it's a valuable app.
Yeah.
For people.
Yeah.
And of course, global entry is a game changer. It has actually completely changed everything. I used to dread coming back to the U.S. because I'd wait in line sometimes for 2
forever.
hours.
Yeah.
And what I've heard actually lately, and
But
I
it's
didn't mention
changed.
on the radio,
This is the point. Is it's changed it not just for global entry users, but for everybody else. Those lines are much shorter for everybody now because
they've been
so many people
understaffing.
go through global entry.
Well,
I
they
think.
also understaffed. But lately they are understaffed because they moved some of the border agents down to the border. Also, I heard of SFO because of the whole coronavirus that some of the immigration lines are 4 to 6 hours.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's talk tech. Navy on the line from Chicago. Hi, Navy.
Hi, Leo. Hey, wanted to tell you, first of all, that I bought a couple of those Epson printers, and they're great.
Oh, thank you. Our sponsor. Nice. Thank you.
I recommend them to everybody. And here's why I'm calling you, though. I'm trying to find a good place for domain registration. And I remember I was driving to the airport, and I heard you talking to Steve Gibson probably a year ago about one of your sponsors.
He didn't. This is where I really like it. It was a sponsor, but he didn't know it was a sponsor. Steve is our security guy. He's the host of Security Now, our podcast about security. And he was really tired. I think he was with VeriSign, one of the old-time domain registrars. So just for some background, if you want a domain name, yahoo.com, you have to register it through a registrar that is approved by a group called ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. ICANN maintains the phone book, I guess is probably the best analogy, the phone book that matches each domain name to a server address. Really, when you surf the web, you're not going to a name. You're not going to yahoo.com. You're going to a number, like a phone number. But nobody can remember those numbers, so we have this kind of lookup service, the Domain Name System, DNS, to match names to numbers. So to get in that phone book, though, you got to go to a registrar. There are many, many registrars. Steve was tired of going. He'd been with the old time. In the early days, there were only a handful of them. Now there's many hundreds. I haven't even counted them. And he asked on Twitter, who do you recommend? And kind of pretty much unanimously, everybody said hover.com. Hover is a Canadian company owned by Two Cows, which you might remember if you've been around for a while, as the ultimate, what was it? The ultimate compendium of Windows software. That's what Two Cows stands for. It was a shareware site. And they've branched out, and they've got a very good registrar business. I use Hover. They are a sponsor, but I use Hover. I have hundreds of domain names registered there. So that's what that is. And Hover is approved by, is certified by ICANN to be doing this. There is no set price, by the way. There are price caps, but there's no set price. And as you probably noticed, some domain names have gotten more and more expensive. It used to be they were all roughly $10 a year. But now there's some that cost hundreds of dollars a year. And that's not Hover. I think in most cases that's because for instance, .tv, which is really it's the island nation of Tuvalu, has .tv, just as the U.S. has .us. And so Tuvalu realized, hey, there's some money to be made in this, and so they raised the prices of the .tv domain registrations. Anyway, I'm sorry to go on and on. That's the background. Now you can ask your question, Navy.
Well, that was the one where I think you said, or he said, they were doing it at cost. Does that sound right?
I don't think that's correct. I don't know what the cost is. That's a good question. It's certainly less than $10 a year. The money goes into ICANN. It's not I don't think ICANN's a nonprofit. It might be, but it's not designed to make profit. It's not a profit-making company. It's a non-governmental international body that regulates all of this stuff, and they have costs. They have to run those domain servers and so forth. So I would guess a couple, $3, $4, $5 goes to it. There were some domain names at cost, and what you're probably thinking of is Google, when they first started offering domains. I think they started as a promotional thing for Google domains to offer them at cost. I don't know if they still do. That's domains.google.
Now, this was one of your sponsors.
Well, the only domain registrar we've ever had as a sponsor is Hover. So, yeah, and they have sales and stuff. So there may have been at times. I know. Somebody in the chat room saying Cloudflare.
That's it.
Yep. So Cloudflare is not a current sponsor, but they have been in the past of our podcasts. Yeah, and I don't know if they've opened that to the public or not yet. Let me see. It's Cloudflare Registrar. They're not. They're doing at-cost pricing for registration and renewal. So for a .com domain, the wholesale registry fee is $7.85. 18 cents goes to ICANN. Cloudflare takes no profit, so the cost for a .com is $8 and 3 cents. .net is $9.95. .info is $11. .org is $10. .org is going to get more expensive because ICANN just eliminated the price caps on .org. So it looks like they are now open to the public. So if you Google Cloudflare and registrar, I think
that's the one.
Yeah, no, it is the one now. Yeah, I see at cost pricing. And then Cloudflare is doing that because they have an additional service, which is website protection and DDoS protection and all of that stuff.
Can I ask you one other quick question?
Sure, yeah.
25 years of using the computer pretty much on and off. I've always had Windows and always had screen blanking that I just wiggle my mouse and the screen comes back on.
Right.
And suddenly in the last 2 months, the screen won't come back on. You heard of this?
Will it come back on when you hit a key?
No. I have to reboot my computer.
Oh. That's not good. So the computer doesn't go to sleep; it goes to dead.
It goes it's running. I can, the fans are running, and
you just can't wake the screen up.
I can't wake the screen up, and it suddenly just started doing that.
I've seen this happen on some Linux systems. I've never seen it happen on Windows.
Windows 10.
So, and obviously, it doesn't happen to most people, or we'd be hearing howls of pain. I would go into your power settings on Windows 10 and look at what your settings are. Make sure, for instance, that when the screen goes to sleep, it's sleeping, not hibernating. This is a classic, long-standing problem with Windows. So the difference is sleeping is a low-power mode where stuff's still going on. The computer's memory is being refreshed. That's the number one thing. So it's using 7 or 8 watts of power while it's just sitting there. The screen's going off. The computer is resting, but not fast asleep. Hibernating, it saves the contents of memory to the hard drive and shuts down. And hibernation is notoriously finicky for waking up. So go into your power settings and make sure that you're sleeping, not hibernating. The other thing you might want to know about, and I would look at your video card. Do you have a video card?
I do.
Yeah, I would look at your video card settings in the properties and make sure that you don't let it sleep.
That I changed the video card. That's
probably it.
I wanted to do a little bit of Bitcoin mining, and so I had to put in a different video card.
That's it. So go look in the settings. Turn off sleep for the video card because it may not be waking from sleep. There is and somebody in the chat room gave me this link. There is a crazy keyboard shortcut in Windows. I'd never heard of this, but I love it, that will restart your video drivers.
Wow.
It's write this down. Win, Control, Shift. That's 3 keys plus B. So you'll need 4 fingers for this one. Win, the Windows key, the Control key, the Shift key. Those all 3 are together. So that's easy. And then B, and that'll make you can do it even when the screen's on. It'll make your screen go blank. You'll hear a beep, and then it'll come back. What you've done is restarted the driver.
It works. I just did it.
Yeah. So try that if it's blank but not asleep. That might be another. So there's a few things. Sleeping is hard. Sleeping is notoriously challenging for computers. Windows from time to time goes through difficulty in waking from sleep. And remember that your mouse can sleep. We've had callers say, my mouse stops working after the Windows sleep. Check all your drivers because all of them have boxes that say, don't let this thing go to sleep. And if something's having trouble waking from sleep, that could be the source of the problem. So that's good. ICANN is a public benefit corporation, so that means they are nonprofit. And in fact, they have to donate a certain amount of profits to. I don't see where you can dedicate it to the public benefit. I don't see where you can sign up at Cloudflare Register. I see where you can move it. You can move a domain. Our show today, bet you knew this, brought to you by the amazing Epson EcoTank printers. I love Epson. Thank you, Epson. Not only do they sponsor the radio show, and you've heard those ads, but they also sponsor the podcast. Thank you. And I guess they do it because they know I'm a huge fan of these Epson EcoTank printers. You heard somebody call last hour saying, I love them too. The thing that Epson did was so brave, and they did this a couple of years ago. They said, and by the way, I bet you others are going to start copying them at some point because it's such a good idea. Remember I was talking at the beginning of the show about user hostile moves like taking away the headphone jack? This is the opposite. This is like Netflix taking away the pre-roll playing of the trailers. This is something where the consumer said, the problem with ink cartridges is they run out so often and always in the middle of a print job. There's got to be a better way. Now, Epson, like a lot of printer companies, probably thought, well, we don't really want to get rid of the cartridges. That's a nice little profit center for us. But I think they decided with a little courage on their part, we can do a better job. And they created the EcoTank printers. I remember when I was talking to them, I've from time to time get together with these guys, and one of them was saying, we tried it out in Brazil first because we were so nervous that consumers would look at this and go, what? I want my ink cartridges. Because it does cost a little more at first because you're buying all the ink. You're buying 2 years of ink in the box. He said it flew off the shelves in Brazil. They knew they were getting a great deal, and that's when they went global with it. It's such a great thing. I actually bought 2 EcoTank printers, and I'll probably buy more. No ink cartridges. Each EcoTank comes with 2 years, thousands of pages, 2 years in normal use. You might get less depending on how much you print, or you might get more in the box. And they're easy to fill tanks. The little bottles of ink are color-coded and keyed, so you can't put them in the wrong slot. No muss, no fuss. And you don't have to go back and get more ink for a couple of years. Print thousands of pages, all the stuff you need, your tasks lists, your Christmas cards, whatever. Beautiful color. Tax time's coming. You print the whole darn tax form. It is the perfect printing solution. If you get color, you get all the benefits of an all-in-one printer, and you get 2 years of ink in the box. And then when you go back to buy more, it's another 2 years of ink at a really good price. Add the EcoTank printer to your shopping list. It's time for you, too, to fill and chill, just like me, just like Shaquille O'Neal. Transform the way your home or office prints. Do away with out-of-ink frustration. The website is Epson, epson.com/EcoTank. Leo. Epson.com/EcoTank. Leo. Epson EcoTank printers. Just fill and chill. Epson, exceed your vision. And Epson, I gotta say, I give companies a hard time when they do user hostile things like taking away the headphone jack. But when a company does something that maybe isn't in its best business interest, but they know customers are gonna like it, like EcoTank printers, pat on the back, Epson. Well done. And you know what? Customers love it, and Epson's selling a ton of them. It's good for everybody. Epson.com/EcoTank. Leo, thank you, Epson. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, Macs, PCs, Windows, smartphones, smartwatches. You know, you get the idea. Anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you want to talk high tech. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, use Skype out. You can still call. It shouldn't cost you anything from anywhere in the world. Website, techguylabs.com. That's where I live, techguylabs.com. And it's free. And there's no sign up. Everything we talk about is there. Your comments are welcome too. techguylabs.com. Let's go on to, let's see, we just talked to Navy. Let's go to Jason in Greenville, Texas. Hey, Jason.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I had a question on, I bought a new MacBook Pro.
Did you get the new 16-inch one?
Yes.
Nice. That's the one I got, too. The only current MacBook that has a decent keyboard. What can I do to help you with it?
I was going to ask you about what would you recommend to put in for an external CD burner?
Oh, you got a lot of choices here. Of course, Apple would like you to buy their Super Drive. But I bet you, let me just check what the cost is on that. I bet you it's a little more expensive than the other. It's not too bad, actually. That's $80.
Oh, okay.
That will read and write DVDs as well as CDs. But I'm looking around. If you go to Amazon, there are a lot of no-name drives that are less. $26 for the Rodzon external CD reader and writer. That's USB 3. Apple's is not. It's USB 2, I believe, unless they've updated it. There is Version Tech. That's $27. C-Tech. That's $21. So, the Apple is nice. It's pretty. It's an Apple-branded product. So, you're guaranteed it works. But I've used third-party CDs and DVD readers. I even have a Blu-ray DVD reader that works just fine, and they're a little bit less. Who makes this one? This is a blue. Oh, it's a Pioneer. How much was this, John? $79. Same price as the Apple. Kind of looks like the Apple. It's a slot feed, not a drawer, just like the Apple. Has a USB 3 interface, which is nice. That's a little bit faster, and it's the same price as the Apple. Plus, you'll get the advantage of being able to read Blu-ray discs. As I remember, they just if you have VLC, one of those, it'll play just fine. Apple's DVD player will even play Blu-rays, I think.
Oh, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, because for a long time, remember Steve Jobs when asked, when are you going to put a Blu-ray in a Macintosh? And Steve said, I'm never going to put a Blu-ray player in a Macintosh. It's a bag of hurt. And what he was talking about is the copy protection, which is onerous. This one's powered. So it's not bus powered, is that right, John?
No, it's bus powered.
But it has a power dongle. Oh, that's a headphone jack? I don't think so, John. Take a close look. That looks like a power jack to me. Why would you want a headphone jack on a DVD player? So Apple's is what we call bus powered. It doesn't have separate power, so that's nice. It gets its power from the MacBook. Let's see. Yeah, it says Apple. Yeah, so here's the problem. You're going to have to buy the Apple SuperDrive, and then you're also going to buy a USB-A to USB-C adapter because it comes with a traditional Type A connector. And that means you're going to need an adapter, which, of course, Apple probably also charges a lot for. You can get them for just a few bucks. I have a lot of them because that's one of the disadvantages of the MacBook Pro is it has 4 ports. They're all USB-C or Thunderbolt 3. So, no USB-A stuff can be used, so you need to bring an adapter around with you to use it, which I do. I have one on my keychain, actually.
I've been a big fan of yours, Leo, for since '98 and all the way back to the ZD TV days.
Oh, Jason, thank you.
And I'm the one that used to call from Cooper, Texas, but I moved to Greenville, Texas.
Whereabouts is Greenville?
It's about an hour west of Dallas, Texas.
Which makes it even west of Fort Worth.
Yes.
Where the West begins.
Yes.
Well,
and I get about 63, 64 over-the-air TV channels.
Really? From Dallas?
On an antenna on the inside of the apartment.
Nice. So you're close enough to an hour, but that's still close enough to get it's pretty flat thereabouts, right? So you get a straight shoot to the towers in Dallas or the mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm about 52, 55 miles away from Dallas, but the TV towers come out. The towers are actually near over in Cedar Hill, Texas.
Well, it's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for watching and listening all these years. That's more than 20 years. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Leo.
All right. Take care. It's good to talk to you. Yeah, I thought for a brief moment, I don't know why I thought this, that it would be a nice project to take. I still have, old DVDs and Blu-ray movies, and I thought it'd be fun to put them in a player and digitize them and put them on my my NAS so that I could watch them. After about 3 of those, I said, this takes way too long. But in order to do it, I had to get a Blu-ray compatible DVD player, and there are plenty of them out there, about $80, same price as the Apple SuperDrive. But it takes forever. I was using a program called Make MKV that will, once it sees the DVD, and it'll only see it after Apple starts playing it. Once it sees it, then it says, "Oh, good, I can copy that now," because the encryption key is stored in memory. So the player launches, it starts playing. You say, "Okay, fine, now you can stop." And Make MKV will make a ISO file if you want, or a extractive file that you could then put on your storage and watch. And I thought, oh, this will be good. I'll have all my DVDs. There's probably not more than 100 available that I can watch them online and through my Plex server. No, after about 2 days and 3 discs, I thought, there's not enough time in the world to do this. I give up. But I still have that disc. It's funny how we've really moved away from physical media, haven't we? I don't know what it's like in your house. I doubt you have a VHS player in there anymore, right? You got rid of all the videotape stuff. Then we replaced that with the Blu-ray. And, I had probably some TV-focused Blu-ray players, but I ended up really using my PlayStation 4 and my Xbox One as my Blu-ray players. Because, I had them for gaming, but they play Blu-rays very nicely. And that's it. And no modern computer, very few anyway, come with CD or DVD players anymore. Most of them, though, you can attach a USB device and it'll work fine. But what for? Now, I'm looking. There are people in our chat room who still have, well, look at that. He has 3 VHS players. What? The Bitcoin Assassin says, they gather dust nicely. Yeah. I think it might be time to go through the collection of outmoded products and donate. That's the word I'm going to use. Donate a few of those. Somebody somewhere must want them. 8888 Ask Leo. Dick DeBartolo, the Giz Wiz, coming up with a gizmo in about half an hour. Yeah. Parted down. Lady Laura's partying down. I know she is. I know you got all the people in there. You got the disco music playing. The lights are low. You broke out the fine red wine. I know it, Lady Laura. It's okay. No. Busted. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Yeah. I think people think that radio DJs are having a lot more fun than they really are. Not since the 60s, anyway. Gary is on the line from Buffalo, New York. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Pretty good. I have a question for you about Internet or File Explorer. But before that, I just want to assure you, you probably don't have to worry in California. We had an unusual situation in New York. Just before the law was passed allowing immigrant licenses, Governor Cuomo said he was going to veto it because it didn't have protections for them. And so instead of adopting a law similar to like California's and the other 13 states, they put in a provision that prohibits all access to the.
So
that's
what the feds say, that because we can't access. They say criminal records. Is it criminal records or just the DMV?
No, it's DMV. It's a DMV.
Yeah, so
DMV.
they're lying on the website. They're saying criminal records, which would make sense. If I had no access to criminal records, I would understand. I mean, they need that to vet me, right? But not having access to my DMV record, come on.
Well, California allows DHS access to the DMV records for purposes of the license.
They give. Wait a minute. California lets almost anybody access DMV licenses. This is an ongoing problem. They've been selling it to advertising, to marketing. I mean, this is an ongoing problem.
But that was a problem in New York. Instead of adopting a provision similar to California's, which said DHS can come in here and look at the records for any reason other than immigration enforcement, they just did a complete prohibition.
Right.
So, I mean, I have an enhanced license that lets me cross the border in Canada without taking it out of my pocket.
How nice.
I'm going to say we can't read that any longer because we can't confirm it's you. So that's going to be a problem for us. We need to change that New York state law. It's an issue. But in any event, I don't think you have to worry about it unless California decides to adopt something similar to New York's, which I doubt they will because everybody knows it's an issue. If you completely cut off access, the federal government...
Give it to the feds. I don't have a problem with that, but I do think it's a good idea to protect the privacy of DMV records. They are very poorly protected right now.
Yeah. Well, New York State also sells our DMV records. That's the hilarity of it.
They still do. Even with the law, they still do.
They still do. Yep.
So basically, the law said the feds can't have it, but all the feds should say is, I'm not a fed, I'm a data broker. Here's $50. Yeah. It's ridiculous. The California Department of Motor Vehicles generates $50 million a year selling driver's license records to private industry.
But, the issue is New York wants to protect. New York doesn't want Border Patrol and Customs using their DMV records to track down.
That's exactly right. In fact, there was a story in the New York Times this week that the feds, the ICE and the CPB buy in bulk cell phone location information. It's been very helpful for them. Yeah. So there's a brisk business in selling your private information to the federal government. The pretext is, we want to catch illegal immigrants, but I wonder if that's the only thing they're doing with it. That makes me nervous.
We have one bridge that crosses into Canada that is nothing but Nexus.
Right.
You can't cross it without Nexus.
Right.
And so
Nexus is a great program. Now, and by the way, it's hard to get into Canada without it. I'm not going to knock CPB because the Canadian Border Patrol's even more strict. They're tough. I've almost been turned away from Canada. I used to go up there 1 week a month every month for several years, and I've been almost turned away a couple of times. But I got a job. I got to go to work. Are they paying you?
I've had no issue with my enhanced license. I've ridden across on my recumbent trike, and
really, you ride your trike across that bridge?
Yeah. There's a beautiful Canadian bike path along the river.
Oh, how nice!
And so we ride across from Buffalo, right across the bridge, and with the enhanced license, you don't even have to take it out of your wallet.
How do they know that it's you? Face recognition?
I guess so.
Okay.
Well, I worked for the Treasury Department a long time ago, 30 years ago, and at that time, they used to record every license plate that went across the bridge.
Right.
I had a case where we had to determine if a person had crossed the bridge at certain times, and we were able to do so. So I'm sure that since then, they've somehow gotten past, beyond just the license plate number. But the enhanced license is such that if you don't have it in a protective case, Border Patrol can read it as you approach the entry point.
By the way, just to throw fuel on the fire, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection accidentally leaked all those license plate information earlier this year. A contractor had the information and didn't secure it. And all of those photos, all of those license plate images and a lot more was leaked onto the so-called dark web.
Well, I'm too ugly for anybody to watch.
What can I do for you today, Gary?
I am trying to find a program or a hack even at the registry that will let me change the color of the fonts in File Explorer. I have found some programs that do that, but they don't work as the default. So if you're in Acrobat, for example, and you're going to save a file, it doesn't show up.
This is you Windows users. You're so entitled. If you were a Mac user, you'd say, well, of course, Apple knows what color those fonts should be, and would never let you change it. But on Windows, there's all sorts of stuff you can do to change the user interface. Supposedly, that's actually built into Windows, unless they've taken that feature out.
Apparently, the feature in Windows itself was taken out.
Oh, man.
Somebody came up with
Getting more like a Mac all the time. Have you checked in the accessibility tab?
Yeah, I checked that.
Okay.
That was the first thing I checked.
Yeah, because they often do leave those things in. And you probably, when you talk about a company that lets you change that, is that StarDock?
No, I was looking at a program, XY Explorer, it's called,
Okay.
XY Explorer, and it's really nice. I mean, it not only changes the font, it'll put it in a background and everything else, but it doesn't work as the default file explorer for programs. So if you really program from Acrobat,
I'm reluctant to tell you this, but since you want to customize this kind of stuff, go to StarDock, STARDOCK.com, and go down the rabbit hole of customization software. They are the kings of modifying the Windows user interface. And I bet you one of their many, many programs will let you customize Explorer. I don't know off the top of my head if that Windows setting's gone. That's annoying. But StarDock manages to do things that Windows stops doing all the time. StarDock is incredible. And you can get individual programs between $10 and $20. But you can also buy a whole pack of the in programs. I'm not sure which one would do it. Just browse around. But don't do it if you've got anything left to do today. Because once you start going down the StarDock rabbit hole, I did it myself. Your Windows will look like no one else's. You can customize everything completely. Cursors, everything. And if anybody knows how to change the color in Explorer, let me know. What? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is a sad, sad story. Thank you, Lady Laura, our musical director. On we go to line one. Mike in Cabo, St. Lucas.
You got it.
Whoa, man, are you enjoying the weather down in Cabo?
It's a little chilly right now, but it's usually pretty nice.
What's chilly in Cabo San Lucas? Like 78 degrees?
No, 73, 74.
Okay. Oh, it's so pretty down there. Well, are you on vacation or you live down there?
Kind of half and half. We have a house down here, so we spend a couple months in the fall and a couple months in the spring here.
Oh, I'm jealous. How fun.
Hey, I got a comment on your global entry stuff. Last time I came in from here in December, that guy was saying, you don't even have to get your passport out. I didn't have a chance to get into global entry machine. It had my info on the screen already when I walked up to it.
So they must be using face recognition, huh?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. Delta started this in the airports, some of their airports, where you don't have to show documents. You just walk up and they're getting their face database from Homeland Security. And, people like me and security and privacy experts are all moaning and groaning, but people love it. Delta says by far our customers prefer it. We tell them you don't have to. You can take out your driver's license, and they go, no, this is great. So sometimes convenience trumps privacy, I guess. I mean, look, your face is out there anyway.
Right.
What are you going to do? Sometimes I wonder if we're trying too hard to be private. Anyway, I wish I could get global entry. I'm still pending. They probably know it's me. They're going, yeah, Leo, good luck getting that. What can I do for you?
So anyway, I was looking at my my log calls here on Skype, and I found out almost exactly a year ago, it's the 19th or something like that of February, we're talking about trying to watch stuff on content servers that say, oh, we can't deliver that to your area.
Because you're in Cabo San Lucas. You're in Mexico.
Right.
So did you figure it out?
Yeah, no problem. So I'll put on a VPN. So I got not your sponsor there, but another one, and it works great for most stuff. But then there's some places like Amazon Prime. They go, oh no, sorry, you're on a VPN. Turn that off and then log in again.
Right.
So So what I did was I talked to you about this last year, the idea, and you said it was probably possible. So I finally did get it worked out. I set up a Raspberry Pi at home.
Yeah.
A VPN server at my house.
So you VPN to your home in the States.
Right.
And then can go on, and they don't know it's a VPN now.
That comes right out of my house as if I was sitting at my desk.
Yep. So that, I've asked many times, how do companies know you're using a VPN? And there isn't a perfect way. A lot of it is just, well, that IP address comes from a block that's owned by TunnelBear or one of the VPN providers. It is an imperfect thing. There's no fingerprint for VPN traffic as far as I know. Once you emerge into the public internet, it looks just like regular traffic. And since you're coming out of your house, you're not in a database of known VPNs, so you're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clever. So it worked. And by the way, what fun the Raspberry Pi is, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The first problem I had with it was I had a bought original one that, came out years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago I bought this thing, and it had failed. I was sitting in the closet. I tried to make it work, but it wouldn't. So I had bought a new one. I bought a 3 Plus.
Right. The new ones are they've come so far. The Raspberry Pi is a $35 computer that has HDMI, it has network port. And it's designed really to be Wi-Fi. That's right. It's designed to be a project computer, but it's amazing. It'll do pretty much anything. It runs Linux. Yep, or other stuff too. And a lot of people use it for media server and so forth. They were originally they started in about 2015. For schools. They wanted to make it educational, but now everybody's discovered it, and it's a great little... Actually, 2012. 2012 was the original one. But it's really become very popular, and it's a great little tool for projects. If a kid asks you, hey, can I have a computer, Dad? Give him a Raspberry Pi and let him figure it out. He'll become a computer whiz in no time. It's really great. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found a way to make that work. Now, I've talked to our sponsor. We do have a VPN sponsor, and... they claim that any streaming service will work with their VPN. And I've tried it with a few. I hadn't tried it with Amazon Prime, so I will. They must be doing something to make it not look like a VPN. So, and because I was a little worried, I asked Netflix, hey, is that legal? And they say, well, we say not to do it in terms of service, but honestly, our real concern is not that you're watching Netflix out of Mexico, or watching, the Japanese Netflix from the U.S. Our real concern is that the quality will be too low because the VPN slows you down. But a good VPN is going to be fine, and our sponsor works just fine, and you can get HD video and everything. Is yours working with high def and everything?
Yeah, it's kind of hit and miss. The first time I logged on, it was great, and then the next time I logged on to it, the voice was not synchronized with the video. And then the next time it was great. So I don't know. Well, there must be different paths that it's taking through the internet or something. I'm not sure.
It's also it could be the Raspberry Pi because that's a pretty slow system, but it also could be your internet service provider. Remember, they always sell you on the download speed. That's the big number, and then the upload speed is the little number. And when you're using your VPN inside your house, the upload speed is how it's getting back to you in Cabo, and so that may really be the problem.
Yeah, it actually has to go both ways at the same time. It has to bring it in on the download speed and then send it back out on the upload speed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got pretty fast cable internet, so it's about 200 down, but it's about 10 up, 8 or 10 up. So
well, that's pretty
good. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, high UHD is 25 megabits, so you won't get UHD, but you should be able to get high def with that. Yep, well, I'm glad to get the update, Mike. I appreciate it.
Next thing I have to do is figure out how to get to my network server disk drives.
Oh, yeah. Then you got to punch a hole in the firewall now. You got to do some port forwarding.
Well, I had to do that for the server, too.
Sure, of course you did. Yeah. Well, now that you know how, this is what happens. You start with one little project.
I think I have it set up correct. I think I have it set up correctly, but I don't know how to access it from a remote. I have a different port forwarded for the VPN, for the file server, and for I just call it host.
So you need to tell the software accessing it not only the address, the IP address, but also port number. You need to tell it what port number, and usually that'll just go right through. Your router at home will see that traffic on port let's say 8080 and say, oh, that goes over to this Raspberry Pi here. So that's
so for the VPN, I use a VPN software on both ends, but I don't know what to use on this end for the.
What do you want? You want to stream stuff? You know what? Let me tell you another sponsor of ours, Plex. If it's media you want to do, Plex is amazing, and it uses a dedicated port. I think 24,000. I can't remember what it is, but you'll open that port, and then once you do, traffic goes back and forth. Plex becomes a media server that can run out of your house in the States and let you watch everything in Cabo, including, you can make it a DVR, you can make it a TV streamer, you can put your movies on it. It becomes a great streaming solution out of your house. Again, limited by your upstream bandwidth, but other than that, I think it's a really good system. Plex is free. For doing that, you might need to pay for the Plex Pass, but it's not very expensive. Good luck. 32,400. Mike B knows the port. He's got it memorized. One more segment in the show, but you know what? The last segment's always the best because it's our Gizmo wizard, Dick DeBartolo, for years, still is Mad Magazine's maddest writer, but also loves the gadgets. He'll bring us one right after this. Yeah. Oh, you think it's the RFID? You'd have to get pretty close for the RFID to work. But that's a good point. It could be RFID. Everybody sing along. Tell about the way I use my walk. I'm a lemon's man. No time to talk. Music. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to apologize for singing. And second of all, I'd like to welcome Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, to our microphones. The disco is because he's a disco duck. And he is also a gizmo wizard. That's what we call him, the Giz Wiz. Each week he brings us a gadget or a gizmo from his vast collection.
Yes. So, you know what? I said to Dennis, Leo goes to good restaurants. I mean, like they have cloth napkins and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. People come to you with the food. It's incredible.
Yes. Yeah, and they put it on the table. And,
amazing.
I said, so he might know about this Sparificator?
The Sparificator?
Okay.
So
do you have one? All right.
No, so I don't even know what it is. What is this for? Is this for wine?
All right. So it is a way to take food, and they say, this is from Inspired Home, the gourmet preview, and you take food and you make it into what they call delicious food beads. It's like taking food and making it look like caviar.
Is this how they make that gum that squirts in your mouth when you bite into it? Is that what they're talking about?
Boy, have you
tried this?
You know what? They were making Gatorade beads at the show. And I don't know if you remember, there was a soda once that came with these little beads in it. They're called they call them pearls.
Yeah, boba sodas. Those boba drinks. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very big in Japan, and I think now everywhere. So this makes how big are the spheres?
Tiny. It looks like caviar.
Oh,
when
you
walk up to the
yeah.
Oh, okay. The thing is, I said, it's interesting, and I tasted it, and I'm not crazy about those little beads in my mouth, like melting, and melting to just reveal that you're drinking Gatorade.
Gatorade, that's kind of gross, yeah.
But then I said to the guy, what are the bags of chemicals there? And he said, well, you have to put in the calcium bath, and then there's the alginate molecules.
This is on your website, gizwiz.biz. Click the Gizwiz Visits the Tech Guy button. It says the Spherificator comes with 40 grams of sodium alginate. That's kind of an algae substance. 100 grams of calcium chloride. 50 grams of sodium citrate, and that is what it makes the pearls. And then it makes the pearls What do you pour it into this thing? What is this?
Yes. Well, first of all, it said you make a blend of the food you're going to make into food pearls. And then it says probably use a hand mixer, they meaning electric, because it said an egg beater is not going to make
it's got to be very smooth and liquid. Okay.
Then you pour it into this thing.
Yeah, which is what, the size of a flashlight.
Yes, exactly. Like the big flashlights that we got that were water activated.
Okay.
Then you put in one of the chemicals. I was looking at the book. Then you wait 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, please.
Yeah, exactly. And then you put in the other chemical, and then this machine, and he was making it. It makes like hundreds a minute. But then on the website, it says, for best taste, serve and eat within 15 minutes.
Oh, man. So you spent an hour making it, but you better do that when the company comes, because otherwise...
Yeah, you tell everybody sit down.
Quick, eat.
Put your fork in your hand. Okay, you go around to each plate. And it's $100. Well, it's $99.
I guess if you were, a fancy... Look at, even the places I go with napkins don't have these. But I guess you can put little flavor bombs in your salad. It'd be pretty good. What happens after 15 minutes? Do the beads dissolve?
No, they start to congeal.
Oh God, that's so disgusting.
And then, after I was reading one review. Someone said after about a half an hour, it looks more like food worms than food pearl.
So you gotta eat fast. This is.
You could take coffee and you could make it.
So let's say you have vanilla ice cream and then you have coffee beads on it. It would be delicious. Or fudge beads.
And people would be, wow, how did you do that?
But you have to say, sit down now.
Yes.
Eat this now, because they're going to turn into worms in 15 minutes. That is not good.
Yeah.
I've mixed feelings about that. I'm very, very tempted. How much is it?
$99.
Oh. So they're smart. They make it at a price point where you could make it an impulse almost. Okay. Maybe that's good. Maybe for my next dinner party, I'll give people
It would be different.
It'd be different.
And, probably, wait a minute. You have air conditioning. You have a great... If you make your dining room around 40 degrees...
Oh, they last longer when it's cold?
It probably will last a lot longer.
Or freeze them. What happens if you freeze them?
I don't know.
Maybe if we just freeze them. See, now you're getting me. I'm tempted.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Okay.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Well, remember, there's no Bluetooth and no Wi-Fi. And no app. I was shocked that there was no app.
It's sphericator. Sphericator. The word sphere...
Isn't there a riff in there?
Spirificator. You're right. It's the word sphere with ificator added to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Dick is a laughificator.
I like it.
A gizificator. Gizificator. That's good. Maybe get rid of the gizwiz.biz website and have gizificator.
Yeah, because it's so much
rolls
easier.
off the tongue. Find Dick's website easily. He's the Gizmo Wizard, or Gizwiz, and his website is gizwiz.biz. And click the button that says the Gizwiz visits the tech guy, but there's also links to lots of other stuff that he shows off on other shows, including ABC's World News Now, plus a lovely link to the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine from Mad's Maddest Writer. In fact, you've got till the end of the month to figure out what that crazy gadget is there. There are 6 Mads for the correct answer, 12, up to 12 for the best wrong answer. Cute and silly. The judges have very short attention spans, he says.
Exactly.
So make sure entries are no more than 25 words. 1 guess per entry. All the details at gizwiz.biz. While you're there, there's other stuff too, including the Mad Collectibles, the Gizwiz Garb Edge. And many people know this, but if you don't, Dick saved the match game, the Gene Rayburn match game, by writing all those Dumb Dora and Dumb Donald jokes. That's the guy who did it. Blame him.
Wow, thank you.
You can read that story on the website as well. And if you want more, get his book, Good Days in Mad, which is the history of Mad Magazine.
Oh, my God, Garificator is gone.
Somebody got Gizwificator? The Gizmificator? How dare they? That's my URL.
Probably Beatmaster.
Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
Have a great day. We'll see you next week. Oh, boy, this day whizzed by. I really appreciate you spending some time with us. Thanks so much to our musical director, Lady Laura, for dusting off the Bay City Rollers, which I now realize was a little dig at me for not realizing this is the Saturday episode. Is that why you play that, Laura? Yeah, I figured it out, finally. Only took me 3 hours. Thanks to our phone angel, Kim Schaffer. Thanks mostly to you. Well, I couldn't do this show without you. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening. Please come back again next time. Lots more to talk about. It's a wild world in technology, and this is where you'll learn it all. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. I'm your Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.